Hello and welcome to the evening news for today, Wednesday, March 18, 2015. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. In the headlines, Crum Ewing's funeral used for political mileage as scores pay their last respects. Police following new leads in Crum Ewing's murder. Yarrow Cabra murder victim stabbed 13 times. Political parties condemned Granger's jackass comment. Nepalese being trafficked through Guyana. And man jailed for stealing 5-year-old rum. Now for the news in detail. In these two reports, you'll hear that the opposition politicians had a field day with the funeral of Courtney Crum Ewing, who was gunned down to death last week. Many of them used the event to muster up political support for the opposition coalition at the upcoming election, as Ewing's family laid their emotions bare as a result of their loss. Here's Gomati Gangadin and Michael Young.
It was high drama at the tribute held at the parade ground this afternoon for ex-GDF soldier Courtney Crum Ewing, who was shot dead last Tuesday at 3rd Street Diamond, East Bank, Demerara, while key speakers used the opportunity as a political platform. The ground, which was packed to capacity, became the theatre after organizers were unable to control the crowd. After repeated warnings that the casket will be closed unless some order was restored, the crowd began to recede and the tributes got underway. However, the tributes became political speeches as most of the speakers sought to use the platform to encourage and to gather support for the Partnership for National Unity Alliance for Change coalition, which they said will bring the change the country needs to ensure that situations like this never arise again. Addressing the audience first was Mayor of Georgetown, ex-Prime Minister under the PNC, Hamilton Green, who stated that Crum Ewing should be regarded as a hero and a martyr. According to Green, Courtney's death should not be in vain, while telling the audience that they have a role to play.
I want to be very short, because we mustn't talk too much this. We have things to do. The last words of Courtney on his bullhorn was to vote. His last words was to vote APNUAFC. And if any of us are here, in fact, let me put it positively, all of us who are here, if we've come to show our love for Courtney, must remember the final words before he was cut down.
Meanwhile, Executive Director of the African Cultural Development Association, Dr. Eric Phillips, who gave a tribute on behalf of the Queen's College alumni, while reflecting on the school life of Courtney, told the gathering that they must vote for the APNU-AFC coalition on May 11.
I'd like to ask all who have been to Queen's College to raise your hands up in the air. And if you have a key, put a key in your hand. Because a hand is a hand of hope, and a key is the key we will open the door of victory on May 12th.
Political activist Freddie Kissoon, in brief remarks, told the mourners that Courtney has died, but his fight will continue. He noted that on May 12, Courtney's death and his fight for justice in the country will be remembered and appreciated when the coalition is announced as the new government. Reporting for the Evening News, Gomati Gangadin.
David Granger told the gathering that Ewing was a martyr and he died for standing up against the ruling People's Progressive Party Civic. While campaigning further at the man's funeral service, excerpts of an obituary compiled by the Ghana Human Rights Association, which suggested that his death may have been political in nature, were read.
Our brother Courtney, whose mortal remains lie before us this afternoon, was a peacemaker. He employed peaceful, public, persistent, and lawful means to bring about change in this country. Truly, he was one of the children of God.
Continuing with a few biblical references, the leader of the APNU-AFC coalition said again that the police force, which he has ironically requested to provide additional security for him during the upcoming elections, was incapable of protecting citizens under the present government, again inciting that the PPP was somehow responsible for the man's death.
Who could be more honorable than one who repeatedly goes forth to appeal to all citizens to demand change from the Bulgarians who occupy a high office? Who could be more of a peacemaker than one who protests against feral persons who have besmirched the reputation of our beloved country?
Again, Granger, playing on the emotions of those present, painted a picture that the man's murder was political because of the stance he took.
Courtney was a good man, and he died doing a good deed. May God bless his soul. His one-man crusade was really everyone's crusade. He picketed, he protested, and he perished for all of us. He's a martyr. He knew the risk that he was taking to oppose the oligarchs, but he felt that opposition was better than submission. I first met him when APNU was on the picket line last October, November, and December, demanding first the holding of local government elections, and second, the end of the president's obnoxious prorogation of the National Assembly. APNU did not achieve the objectives at that time. What Courtney did achieve in life, however, he did achieve in death. He bled to death for democracy. No one could have any illusions about the type of desperate and dangerous government we have in this country.
For the Evening News, Michael Young reporting.
Meanwhile, supporters who held much respect for the late Courtney Crum Ewing gathered at his home at 189 Golden Grove, East Bank, Demerara to pay tribute and bid farewell to the infamous man. The details in this report.
At his residence, a small gathering of about 60 people stood in a somber atmosphere as they each took turns to view his lifeless body at rest. Crum Ewing was smartly clad in a black suit with a Guyana flag draped over his coffin. His body remained at his home for viewing until 11:30, after which the funeral procession made its way to parade ground for another viewing. His parents were too distressed to speak to this newscast as they struggled to hold back the tears and accept the many condolences they received. Crum Ewing, 41-year-old former Guyana Defence Force rank, was shot dead last Tuesday evening in 3rd Street Diamond, East Bank, Demerara, while urging people to vote at the upcoming general and regional elections on May 11. A post-mortem performed on the body proved that he was shot 5 times. Crime Chief Leslie James has confirmed that 3 men are in police custody and were being grilled in connection with the murder. A car belonging to one of the men was impounded at the Diamond Police Station.
This are trust in their wealth. They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches. None of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. For the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceaseth forever, that he should still live or ever, and not see corruption. And this is what I have said, but whosoever has done this heinous crime, he too has to die. So what are you trying to do? We come with nothing into this world, and we go with nothing.
Davina Samru for the Evening News.
Last evening, supporters of Crum Ewing, who was gunned to death in Diamond last week, hosted a vigil in his memory. Davina Samru reports.
Courtney Crum Ewing rose to fame by staging a one-man protest in front of the Legal Affairs Ministry, calling for the dismissal of the Minister and Attorney General Anil Nandlal following the release of a taped telephone conversation between him and a Kaiser News reporter. Crum Ewing's life in the spotlight was cut short after he was gunned down the last Tuesday at 3rd Avenue Diamond Housing Scheme, East Bank, Demerara, while reportedly urging residents to vote at the upcoming general and regional elections slated for May 11. When this newscast visited the scene late Tuesday night, a small tent was pitched up, vendors gathered to cash in on some sales, and people were playing dominoes while chatting about their experiences with the deceased. Crum Ewing's family members who were at the vigil refused to share their opinion for fear of victimization. Monique's Caring Hands CEO, Dr. Dawn Stewart, who is a social activist, traveled all the way from Georgetown to be with Crum Ewing's family during this time of mourning.
I do believe that he shouldn't have died the way he died, and whoever killed him should come to justice. And I just feel saddened by having anybody die like that. This really saddens me.
Leader of the Justice for All party, Jaipal Sharma, also expressed his condolences to the family. Being a resident of the area, Sharma noted that he felt obliged to come out and show his support.
You could say a relationship with Courtney, professional relationship, in which we both activists in terms of speaking out for the rights of people in this country, people that doesn't have a voice. So just like I have my program, The Voice of the People, Courtney decided to do his own thing and giving the people a voice, people who don't want to speak out because of their fear for victimization.
Meanwhile, fellow political activist and presidential candidate of the newly formed The Independent Party, Mark Benchop, condemned the ruthless act. Reporting for the Evening News, Davina Samaru.
Meanwhile, as the body of 40-year-old Courtney Crum Ewing was laid to rest today at Lurpantere Cemetery, the police were busy trying to find the person or persons responsible for his death and were working on several new leads at their disposal. According to a source close to the investigations, the police have several pieces of information gathered from surveillance footage taken from houses in close proximity to where the incident took place. The senior police rank stated that the matter is a sensitive one and will be dealt with extreme caution. Hence, he could not reveal aspects of the leads that were being followed. He also confirmed that the two men who were arrested on Friday evening were subsequently released due to the expiration of the 72 hours detention period. They were, however, instructed to report to the investigators on a regular basis. A Toyota Spacio bearing registration number PPP 723 belonging to one of the men remains impounded as the police conduct their investigations. Head of the Presidential Secretariat, Dr. Roger Luncheon, says he does not see the rationale behind comparing the living standards of former presidents Dr. Cheddi Jagan and Bharat Jagdeo. More in this report.
The Cabinet Secretary was responding to queries from journalists on his failure to defend the living standard of former President Cheddi Jagan, which was compared to that of former President Bharat Jagdeo. Jagdeo at an earlier press conference had told journalists that Jagan lived a comfortable life during his tenure in office, and ministers do not have to live in poverty to prove that they are abiding by his legacy. His statement was in response to questions on whether Dr. Jagan would have been proud of his living standards. But Luncheon, said to be a friend of the Jagans, told reporters that he does not see the logic behind the issue at hand.
I am not aware that an occasion necessarily presented itself for the defense of Dr. Jagan's lifestyle. I don't believe that Dr. Jagan himself would have felt it necessary to go out there and to generate an issue about the style and the conditions under which he existed.
Luncheon said he has no significant recollection of that being something that the late president has focused on. As a consequence, there has never been a need to go out to defend his lifestyle.
Defend against whom? And defend for what? I can't imagine what for.
For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
More news ahead. Stay tuned. This is the evening news. Welcome back. A post-mortem examination performed on the body of Errol Gregory Hernandez, who was found dead in his living quarters on Sunday morning, showed that he sustained 13 stab wounds. The autopsy was performed by local pathologist Dr. Nihal Singh at the Georgetown Public Hospital mortuary. Philip Hernandez, the brother of the dead man who witnessed the post-mortem examination, told his newscast that 2 of the stab wounds went straight to the heart, while 3 were seen on the back. The others, he noted, were on the abdomen and other parts of the body. The aggrieved brother also stated that the 4 men who were arrested in connection with the murder were released on bail. At the time of the interview, he and other relatives were heading to the farm to collect his dead brother's personal belongings. He also criticized the farm's security system, claiming that a farm that rears over 135,000 chickens should have had more security measures in place. Philip Hernandez added that the farm is surrounded by high bushes, and from all indications, the owners are only concerned with reaping a maximum profit. Another concern, he noted, was the standard of living of employees on the farm. Hernandez of Lot 49 Sandy Bab Street, Kitty in Georgetown, was found dead on Sunday morning in a house on a farm at Yarrow Cabra, Soosdyke, Linden Highway. Following opposition leader David Granger's controversial comment, quote, Guyana is a nation of jaguars being led by jackasses, and quote, several political parties have spoken up about the situation, condemning Granger for his actions. The details in this report.
Presidential candidate of the opposition coalition, David Granger, sternly expressed his disgust with the state of affairs of Guyana's economy, claiming that the country is being led by jackasses. Granger was at the time delivering the feature address at the Guyana Manufacturing Services Association's luncheon at the Pegasus International Hotel on Tuesday.
Guyana is a nation of jaguars. People want development. They want to break out. They want to get rich. They want to be like other nations, but they're led by jackasses.
Despite the context in which it was used, sections of society took offense to the statement and the use of such explicit language at a public forum. Political parties have also come forth to condemn the opposition leader for his comments. Leader of the United Force, TUF, Marissa Nadir, took umbrage against such statements. She indicated her disgust with the manner in which parliamentary parties conduct their campaign, noting that Guyanese should stay away from that kind of politics. Leader of the Healing the Nation Theocracy Party, Alfred Clark, also expressed his aversion against such language. He contended that the opposition leader should have selected a more sophisticated vocabulary to express his sentiments. Additionally, the United Republican Party presidential candidate Vishnu Bandhu said the usage of those words, especially in his capacity, was a very bad example for the country. In full context, Granger explained that the Guyanese people want development, but claimed that the leadership of the country was ineffective. Davina Samaru for the Evening News.
Cabinet Secretary Dr. Roger Luncheon today called for the substantiation of claims that the People's Progressive Party Civic has been using state monies to fund its campaigns. The details in this report.
The Cabinet Secretary at the Office of the President today said the party, since being in office, has always been accused of utilizing taxpayers' dollars to fund its political campaigns. Luncheon said because there is no policy which allows for such practice, anyone with information about this should make it available.
In the 23 years that I've been here, since 1992, I cannot by any means recall a specific elections where the People's Progressive Party Civic Administration has not been accused of using state funds to conduct electoral activities. The People's Progressive Party administration has always insisted wherein is the evidence. And 2015, the People's Progressive Party's insistence is no different.
He told journalists that the use of public funds for partisan political interests dishonors the law and government will never take an anti-law stance.
Our task is rather simple. Produce, we investigate and confirm whether this is indeed so, yes or no.
Both the Partnership for National Unity and the Alliance for Change have raised concerns about the PPP's access to public financing for its political campaigns. APNU had said the use of aircraft for persons traveling in the hinterland and the use of state media to promote the party's message have all contributed to an uneven playing field. For the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
The security sector is set to receive a $17.7 million boost in weapons and accessories, head of the Presidential Secretariat, Dr. Roger Luncheon, has announced. Luncheon was, however, unable to say from where the weapons would be sourced. The sector will also receive the overhaul of the Bell 206 engine helicopter at a cost of some $28.1 million. Meanwhile, the health sector will also see a boost in its services, with the allocation of some $20.6 million by government for the servicing of health equipment at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. Presidential Advisor on Governance Gail Teixeira says that males need to increase their household responsibilities in order to lessen the burden on females, ultimately becoming more involved in shaping the country's economy. The details in this report.
Teixeira has acknowledged that there are many gaps and challenges as it relates to creating a comfortable society for women. She made the comment during a round-the-table discussion sponsored by the USAID under the LEAD project. Teixeira said one of the key aspects in changing the present situation is to empower women, initially by ensuring that they are more involved in shaping the economy. Teixeira pointed out that 29% of households in Guyana are headed by women. On that note, she said until the issue of male responsibility in the home is addressed, women will not be able to meet their zenith.
Women will never be able to reach their zenith, the heights of which they are capable of doing, because they are held back by the actual reality of running a home by themselves, taking care of children, taking care of dependents, taking care of grandparents and stuff like that.
She said that the People's Progressive Party civic government is committed towards ensuring that the society is equal for both men and women.
We have to look at a number of areas of greater daycare facilities, for example, in different parts of the country, so that it will facilitate women going out to work. We have the feminization of the guard service, the private guard services. Many women have to leave their kids at night alone. How do we find after programs that will facilitate that and allow them to work in a less worrying situation?
Education Minister Priya Manikchand also said that the present administration intends to review the laws to identify gaps and loopholes in the system.
We're going to be reviewing every single law that address women. Now that's very hard because every law addresses women, but there are some laws that women are more dependent on. And to see where there are gaps, where there are loopholes. We're going to be making sure some of the institutions that exist or that were envisioned under the various pieces of legislation actually happen. So under the 2010 Sex Offences Act, we were going to have sexual assault referral centers. Now what was this? This was a place where you could go to one place and give your complaint. The police is there, the social worker is there, the medical personnel is there. They're all there because one of the things the research said was preventing women from proceeding with this was because she had to go and repeat this traumatic experience, and it took days and it took a long time. In South Africa, it has been shown that once these centers were put in place, that they saw conviction rates rise tremendously. So this is something concrete, not a fluffy thing. We'll help you, we'll pass it through the court quicker. How are you going to do that? We have the plan.
Meanwhile, Shadow Minister of Human Services of the coalition, Valda Lawrence, said if elected, the new government will ensure that the family court becomes operational as a means of addressing the issue. Reporting for the Evening News, Davina Samaru.
The police on Wednesday issued a wanted bulletin for Royston Morrison, also called Mappy, for the murder of 28-year-old Dwayne Kennedy, who was gunned down on Friday evening last at Golden Grove on the east coast of Demerara. Here's Bashar Mohammed with the details.
The last known address for the murder suspect are Lot 14 the Backlist Public Road, East Coast, Demerara, Lot 7/5 the Providence, East Bank, Demerara, and Lot 44 Public Road, Agricola, East Bank, Demerara. In addition, Morrison is reportedly wanted for several armed robberies in the interior and on the east coast of Demerara. Kennedy, 28 of Lot 14 the Backlist, East Coast, Demerara, succumbed to his injuries while receiving medical attention at the Georgetown Public Hospital after he was shot a short distance from his home on Friday evening last. From reports received, Kennedy was with a few friends when the suspect approached him and an argument ensued. During the argument, Morrison reportedly whipped out a handgun and discharged 3 rounds at the man, who subsequently fell to the ground. He was shot his back, neck, and abdomen and took his last breath at about 5 hours on Saturday morning, despite desperate attempts by the doctors to save his life. 1 bullet was reportedly lodged in his brain, and it might have been the fatal blow. A .9mm pistol was reportedly used in the execution-style killing. Several spent shells were retrieved from the scene at Golden Grove Market Square and are being analyzed. However, a post-mortem examination performed on the remains of Kennedy, Cheryl Berkshire, mother of the dead man, told the Evening News that based on the autopsy report, her son was shot 5 times, once to his head, side, shoulder, throat, and abdomen. Meanwhile, anyone with information that may lead to the arrest of Morrison is asked to contact the police on telephone numbers 229-2700, to 229-2557, 225-6411, 225-9941, 911, or the nearest police station. Bisham Mohammed, The Evening News.
More news still ahead. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is The Evening News. The Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, wishes to advise the public that the distribution of national identification cards for persons registered during the recent claims and objections exercise has commenced. GECOM is asking those persons who would have conducted registration transactions during this exercise to visit the registration office responsible for their areas of residence to collect their ID cards. Also, GECOM is urging persons who were registered during previous registration exercises but have not uplifted their national ID card to make a very special effort to do so from GECOM's registration office or sub-office responsible for their area of residence. All of GECOM's registration offices and sub-offices will be opened Monday to Thursday from 8 to 16 hours 30, Fridays from 8 to 15 hours 30, and on Saturdays and Sundays from 10 to 14 hours. Every registered Guyanese aged 14 years or over should at all times be able to show a valid national ID card if so requested. Head of the Presidential Secretariat, Dr. Roger Luncheon, is adamant that consultations were held as it relates to the confirmation of Police Commissioner Silal Prasad. Let's find out more in this report.
Cabinet Secretary Dr. Roger Luncheon has maintained that Opposition Leader David Granger was meaningfully consulted on the recent confirmation of top cop Silal Prasad. Following Prasad's swearing in last week, Granger has stated that he will not be accepting or recognizing Prasad as the substantive police commissioner. Dr. Luncheon told media operatives at the post-cabinet briefing on Wednesday that they had worked out a plan as it relates to the consultations. He added that the office of the president had to go through a particular person in order to get the opposition leader not only for consultations on this matter but several others.
This is decidedly at odds with reality, at odds with what has taken place. And the only reason I could imagine that David Granger could have made that remark, maybe it has to do with a judgment that David Granger has about what he feels constitutes consultation. But I know that President Ramotar been chasing behind David Granger morning, noon, and night. He ain't no easy cat to get in touch with. I could tell you that. He ain't no easy cat to get in touch with. And if it hadn't been for intermediaries, I think he might then, there was a TV was it Untouchables? It was a TV program. He would have been the Unfindables. The man is easy to find.
According to the head of the Presidential Secretariat, there are evidence of Granger responding to correspondence from the Office of the President that specifically addressed the issue of Prasad's appointment and confirmation.
It's strange. When Mr. Silal Prasad was appointed as the acting commissioner, the records would show that Mr. David Granger, as he did in the case of Mr. Leroy Brummel, sought to persuade the president to make a substantive appointment from the get-go. And as in the case of Mr. Leroy Brummel, the president said, "Banas, me and know these fellas so good. Let me observe them in action over this period of time, and I'm going to come around to what you were thinking at some subsequent time." It's ironic that when the president approached him and said, "Banas are ready to do the substantive appointment," we can't find David.
Dr. Luncheon went on to say that if, despite having gone through all of this with government, Granger is still saying he was not consulted, then it could mean he is trying to say that he does not like the result of the consultations. Reporting for the Evening News, Fanu Manikchan.
The Home Affairs Ministry on Wednesday stated that several Nepalese nationals are being trafficked through Guyana. Let's find out more in this report.
Given the recent visit of two large groups of Nepalese nationals late last year, the Ministry of Home Affairs is of the view that these persons are trafficking in persons, tip victims. In a release on Wednesday, the ministry stated that in November last year, a group of 12 Nepalese arrived in Guyana and were granted a short period of stay, but they subsequently left the country and illegally traveled to neighboring Venezuela, where they were intercepted and deported back to Guyana. These 12 South Asian nationals were charged and placed before the courts here in Guyana. The magistrate had ordered that they be kept in custody pending deportation. However, they were released in February following a High Court ruling stating that keeping the foreign nationals in custody for a prolonged period was unlawful. On the other hand, the ministry further highlighted another instance where in October last year it was discovered that a group of 14 Nepalese nationals were staying in Mabaruma Region 1. These persons were being kept at hotels and were being held in rooms that were padlocked from the outside. With information on these two cases, the Home Affairs Ministry said it is concerned about the large number of Nepalese traveling to Guyana and their purpose for visiting the country. The ministry said, quote, "Based on these details regarding the conduct of a number of Nepalese nationals in Guyana and their travel patterns compared with the case involving Nepalese nationals in the High Court, the Ministry of Home Affairs has concluded that these nationals were intended to be victims of trafficking in persons." End quote. According to the ministry, strong and decisive actions will be taken against person or persons found to be involved in tip activities. Reporting for the Evening News, Fanu Manikchan.
The Tourism Ministry on Wednesday launched its 13th edition of the Pacaraima Mountain Safari, which kicks off on March 28 for the 529 miles journey. The details from Devendra Kissoon.
The event was launched at the headquarters of the Tourism Ministry and promises to be an adventure of a lifetime. Speaking at the launch was the director of Guyana Tourism Authority, Indranath Haral Singh, who gave an insight of the event.
Welcome to the launch of the 13th Pacaraima Mountain Safari, sponsored by the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce and the Guyana Tourism Authority in collaboration with Rainforest Tours, and with Guy Oil, Excellence in Service, and Castrol. It's not just oil, it's liquid engineering. MMC, GT&T, Best Value in Guyana, and the Amazon Warriors Energy Drink.
Secretary of the Safari Club, Yonet Sahibdeen, explained how persons can be registered to be a part of the spectacular event.
The registration has begun at Rainforest Stores, that's Avenue of the Republic and Robb Street, and we're encouraging you to come early and register. As of today, we have 15 vehicles, also 10 to 20 motorbikes, and we have participants from Jamaica, Germany, and the USA. We will start at Guy Oil, Regis Street, 10 p.m. on the 28th of March.
Sahibdeen also stated that vehicles inspections will take place on March 24th.
All vehicles are required to be equipped with winch, proper tires, camping supplies, fuel containers, toolkits, first aid kits, fire extinguishers. Right? Inspection of vehicles before the trip will be at Rover World, Common Street, that's the third building from Lamaha Street.
Participants will receive a special certificate at a special award ceremony after the completion of the safari. However, Sahibdeen encouraged people to come out and be a part of the safari.
We encourage you, if not this year, maybe next year, to join us in exploring Guyana. We have a beautiful country and it's magical. We can't see pictures, we have to be there. We have to be in the environment. We're going to be visiting the Amerindian villages, 11 of them, waterfalls, mountains. This is all different terrain. Everywhere you go would be a different scenery.
The safari departs from the Regent Street Gayle gas station at 22 hours on March 28th for the 529-mile journey. Devendra Kisoon reporting for the Evening News.
In the courts, a 55-year-old man was sentenced to 6 months in jail at the Georgetown Magistrates Court today for stealing a bottle of Eldorado rum. Derek Posad is alleged to have stolen a bottle of rum from Ashman's Trading on March 16. The defendant pleaded guilty to the charge. He explained that he was drunk and just wanted another shot of rum, so he took the Eldorado. Police prosecutor Michael Grant told the court that the rum was recovered. Presiding over the matter, Chief Magistrate Priya Sinarayan Vihari sentenced the accused to 6 months in jail. Straight into the Evening News, your regional, international and bridge reports are still ahead. Welcome back. This is the Evening News. In the region now, a senior official of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, says the impact of the drop in oil prices globally will affect member countries of the Petro-Caribe grouping differently, even though Haiti could be among those most affected. Adrian Chasti, the Deputy Director in the Western Hemisphere Department of the IMF, said if Petro-Caribe were to cease, the impact would differ across member countries. Internationally now, police in India have charged a man who took his 8-year-old daughter to school roped to his motorcycle. The 40-year-old was arrested after local newspapers in Uttar Pradesh state published photos taken by passers-by. He has now been freed on bail. Onlookers accused the man of cruelty, and he says his daughter had an exam and was reluctant to go to school. The incident comes at a time when the Prime Minister has launched a huge campaign to educate girls in India. It took place in a village in the district of Mathura on Friday. The man, a father of 2 sons and 3 daughters, works as a security guard at a private school. In case of just joined us, you are watching the Evening News. You now take a look at your bridge reports. The Damrar Harbour Bridge is expected to be closed from 14 hours 30 on Thursday, March 19 for a period of 1.5 hours. And the Berbice River Bridge is expected to be closed from 15 hours 45 on Thursday, March 19 for a period of 1.5 hours. Join us after the break for sports, sponsored by Maccorp. This is the Evening News.
In 1998, we started training technicians. 16 years on, we have trained 692 operators and technicians. being an equipment technician and operator, whether day or night, sun or rain. Wherever I go, I am driven by your expectations.
I was trained by Macro, and no matter the task, I am ready.
Welcome back. Now for a look at sport, but first the headlines. South Africa spinners strangle Sri Lanka to advance. Trot recall to England team to tour West Indies. GOA throws financial support behind national ruggers. And more teams chalk up wins in Massey under-15 football. Now for the details, we start off with some cricket news. South Africa cruised into the World Cup semi-finals with a one-sided thrashing of a sorry Sri Lanka in Sydney. Off-spinner JP Duminy took a hat-trick and leg spinner Imran Tahir 4 for 26. As Sri Lanka were bowled out for 133. The Proteas then eased their target for the loss of only 1 wicket in 18 overs, with Quinton de Kock making an unbeaten 78. They go on now to a last 4 meeting with New Zealand or the West Indies in Auckland on Tuesday. Let's take a look now at the highlights.
South Africa taking on Sri Lanka. Got him, that's him, gone! Nice shot, beautiful. Oh, that's even better.
Outside of Asia.
Oh, it's safe, just safe. That's great strike. In no man's land.
You can see he's coming around the wicket now.
Oh, it's got him. Oh, it's got him. Got him. Picked it. With quality deliveries. In the air.
He's gone. It's done to the keeper's gloves and it's popped up for Ali Slurk slip.
Oh, was there an outside edge? They think there was. The batsman's walking. Oh, that's close. That's close. That's easy to give. Now he goes leg side. That's clever. Third man catches it. That's out. Caught an extra cover. David Miller takes the catch. A remarkable scoreboard. Sees Sri Lanka bowled out for 133. Oh, what a shot. Oh, shot. And again, just placed once again. There's a man out there, there's a man out there, and it takes the catch. Nice shot. Oh, yes. Oh, this is him. He's back, I tell you. No ball called. It's pulled away. Quinton de Kock at his best. Beautiful shot for 4, straight down the ground.
So there's still a few things to happen, but it's going to be a good few days. It's a 50 for de Kock. Well played.
Oh, it's up. It's a long way up. There's a man out there. Oh, what an effort. And there is the blow. Quinton de Kock takes South Africa home. Their first win in a knockout game at the World Cup. That's done with now for this magnificent side. You can see the emotion coming out.
And Jonathan Trott has been recalled to the full England squad for the first time since leaving the 2013-2014 Ashes tour because of a stress-related condition. The Warwickshire batsman, aged 33, was named in a 16-man party for the 3-test tour of the West Indies in April and May. The all-rounders Chris Woakes and Moeen Ali are both ruled out due to injuries suffered during the World Cup. The uncapped trio, opener Adam Lyth, seamer Mark Wood and leg spinner Adil Rashid are also included. Back on the local scene now, the Guyana Olympic Association earlier today made a sizable monetary donation to the national ruggers who are in preparation for the successful defense of their NACRA 7s and 15s titles. The details in this report. At a press briefing at the GOA office on High Street earlier today, President of the association, K.A. Jumanyasin, announced that the body will be plugging millions into the National Ruggers Program for 2015. These include $3.7 million for expenses related to the newly appointed Technical Director, Angus Thompson, $6.5 million for the NACRA 7s qualifiers for the Rio Olympics, $990,000 for the preparations for the Pan Am Games, and $5.5 million for the team's participation at the Pan Am Games.
All in all, the preparations, as I mentioned, will be borne by the GOA, and so that heartache and that burden that the rugby union normally have to go out and beg, we have taken it off their shoulders so that they could concentrate on the important aspect of ensuring that the team are well prepared and all is well.
Responding on behalf of the Guyana Rugby Football Union was President Peter Green, who thanked the Olympic Association for its timely support.
Today is a day that was very special because of the sacrifices the players and administrators went through in 2013 when we had zero finances. In the 2014, when we were able to convince a few sponsors, at the end of 2014, fruits of our labor. Moving into 2015 is the start of a new era in Guyana Rugby.
Green said his union is now looking for the government's support in securing the remainder of the budget for the men's team program in 2015. Meanwhile, Technical Director of the Rugby Union, Angus Thompson, sent a warning to the players, noting that there will be a fight for spots in the team.
Our priority this year is the NACRA competition and qualify for the Olympics. That instruction, along with the competition and tough decisions we'll be making for selection, will combine to ensure that our entire squad, their performance in Hong Kong will be going under a microscope, whether they be someone who's played for Guyana for 10 years, 1 year, first time out. We'll be looking at these games in Hong Kong to see who are the people that we'll be looking to take us to NACRA.
Despite its tremendous success on the regional and international stage, winning the NACRA 7s title an unprecedented 7 times and the 15s trophy for the first time in 43 years last year, rugby has struggled with funding over the years. The Olympic Association's intervention is a more than welcome one given the packed program the union has so far for 2015. And finally, some football news. Several teams chalked up victories at the weekend when the inaugural Massey Under-15 Football League continued at the Tuckville ground. Let's find out more in this report. 21 goals were scored on the 2 days of action, with Fuda Conquerors, Black Pearl, Order and Discipline and Western Tigers winning both their games. Fuda Conquerors defeated Kamtong 2-0 on Saturday and followed up on Sunday with a 4-0 drubbing of Pile to chalk up their third win on the trot after a draw in the opening match. Black Pearl maintained their symmetry with 2-0 successes over Pile and Beacon, who has now suffered back-to-back defeats. Order and Discipline had the most convincing win of the weekend, a 5-1 thrashing of Beacon, while they followed up with a 3-0 win over Kamtong. Western Tigers was the other unbeaten team, beating Santos 2-0 and gaining a walkover from Houston Stars, who continue to be in no-show. In other results, Rhythm Squad was given a walkover by Houston Stars, Renaissance edged GFC 2-1, GFC needled Rhythm Squad 1-0, and Renaissance and Santos played to a 0-0 stalemate. At a completion of 4 rounds, Order and Discipline leads Group B with the maximum 12 points, while the boys from Renaissance lead Group A with 10 points. The competition will continue this weekend with another 12 games at the same venue. In the opening game at 9 hours on Saturday, Houston Stars will play Renaissance, followed by Western Tigers against Rhythm Squad, GFC versus Santos, Fuda Conquerors against Order and Discipline, Kamtong versus Black Pearl, and Beacon against Pile. The tournament is being sponsored by Massey United Insurance and organized by the Fuda Conquerors Football Club. And with that, we've come to the end of sport, which is sponsored by MacCorp.
Every day presents a few more challenges. Keeping your business running shouldn't be one of them. That's why we work every day towards ensuring your overall satisfaction. With over 100 skilled technicians and engineers equipped with the tools and skills to help you do more. With the largest parts inventory in Guyana, over 10,000 line items readily available. Driven by your success is not just a set of words to us. It is a code by which we live. That is why we are proud to say that we are Victory!
And that's a wrap on the evening news for today, Wednesday, March 18, 2015. Of course, you can find these and many more stories in tomorrow's edition of the Guyana Times. And here's an invitation to join us on TVG Channel 28 and on Radio Guyana Inc. 89.3 in Essequibo, 89.5 in Georgetown Environs, and 89.7 in Berbice and Unikeri, Suriname. On behalf of all of us here, I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching. You can get a second look at some of the stories carried this evening on our newscast. Add us on Facebook at Evening News TVG. You can also view our news reports on our YouTube channel, TVG Evening News. Additionally, you can send us messages and news tips on social media or via telephone numbers 680-9630, 231-0382 or 226-2102.